To the agenda with me, Lasha, Kingsley, and Vola, Cameroon. On tonight's edition of the program, we're going to be examining the political state of affairs in Cameroon, not leaving out the socio-political upheavals in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. We are blessed to have with us on tonight's edition of the program the Deputy National Communication Secretary to the MRC political party of Professor Maurice Kamto. Fah Elvis is my guest on tonight's edition of the program. Stay with us. I'll be right back after this short jingle break. Fah Elvis, good evening and welcome to the agenda.
Good evening, Lasha. It's my pleasure making present here today. Of course, as usual, I always say greetings to Professor Maurice Kamto and all the national communication secretaries, including all the party weeks and militants, especially those who have been incarcerated into the different dungeons or prisons around the country, and just like also sending greetings to those who were recently, molested by security forces over there. But then in the South region, but if you look at it critically, I think I would like to say greetings to all political actors in Cameroon.
Yes, you are the Deputy National Communication Secretary to the said political formation. We cannot begin the program without talking about what happened to one of the incarcerated militant, or the wife to one of the incarcerated militant of your political formation. Maybe you enlighten Cameroonians on what actually happened to that lady in Yaoundé.
Well, we know we are supposed to be in a state of rule of law, yes, which is still always found wanting, because she had come back from her brothers from France. Yes. And had taken some time, visited the husband who is currently under detention now, and coming back, we only got the sad news, so to say. We are in a state, sometimes I just call it kangaroo state, where they take things sometimes very lightly. Now you realize that I will tell you, we are in a political situation whereby people are treated differently. Now this is an investigation that we expected the state to have gone faster. But then if you look at it, if you kill a uniform officer in these areas, say Yaoundé, Douala, and all the like, I will tell you that in less than no time, most of the times the culprits are tracked down. Now in the case of a civilian, talk less of an opposition personality or a political opposition member, you see now that they will tell you that no, investigations are on course. Most of the times you hardly get anything better from it. And so it's still very worrisome, but we're keeping our fingers crossed, because we have let the Yaoundé regime to know that it is their duty to unmask those behind the brutal murder of this our Iron Lady.
But without digging, further, can we not also attribute it to the rise in the total or number of women that are being killed in the nation's political capital? Because she's not the only lady that has lost her life to insecurity in the city of Yaoundé, without giving any political attachment to her.
Yeah, but you know that, as I said, in the governance system, politics is the political will, political power takes precedence of all other activities. Now, the moment leaders are unable to govern, it becomes a problem. Because what you just cited is quite correct. We have even a young police inspector who was killed somewhere around Mokolo, still quite some months ago, and it's a regular occurrence. Now, you look at it that this one here at her home, you killed at your home and you killed on the street. When you're returning, there are two different things. You get the point. Because on the street, it could be attributed to bandit, it could be attributed to whatever the case might be. But when it is around your home or at your home, it becomes very questionable, because you always have agenda hands that are behind. But then the main issue here is that we have insecurity in the political capital. Not just insecurity, but if you look at it, the town is begging for concern. If you go to Meleng, you go to Obili, you go to Olezwa, you go to parts of Oja, you see the road network, and they tell you this is Yaoundé. You begin to understand whether truly is this the nation's capital. So if you group all of these things together, it tells you that when the political setup within the country is sick. It has an adverse effect in almost all the sectors, including high rates of insecurity. And that's why if you look at it critically, while we're talking about denouncing this debt and hoping that government will do everything possible to bring the perpetrators to book, we have insisted and we hope that we get the limelight, not just only on this lady who was brutally murdered, but we equally expect justice on all the others too, because as we said, once you are a government, all lives that you govern matters, whether it is military, whether it is civilian, or whatever the case might be. So we will be expecting, but as I tell you, the indicators of this laxity by the government to maintain security in these big towns, it's just telling you that the government is falling apart. And in a redundant government that we call kangaroo government incline, you obviously have to expect this kind of thing. So it's an indication to tell you that the government is no longer holding on its response, on her responsibilities. And that explains why we always say that change is what is required now, whether we like it or not, to get a new Cameroon with new systems put in place to check insecurity as per se.
So how do you intend to get the change? That's the question I'm driving at.
Yes, to get the change simply means we've spoken to Elekam several times. We've talked about the Elekam, which is part of the, we call that part of the organ that helps in the rigging process of elections in this country. Why do we say so? We've done quite a handful of electoral reforms proposed and pushed forth to the powers that be. And when we talk about what we call double scrutiny, you know, that is having a ballot paper that has all the candidates on it for you to tick and choose which one you have to take, so that you avoid the multiple papers that you can go in, and then somebody bribes you, you put in one, you come out with the rest and show the person to collect 10,000 francs. Now, we have been hitting hard on this, but to see it come to limelight is what Elekam is still finding it difficult. And sometimes we could blame Elekam at the same time, we blame the party, because Elekam will not innovate when the people that controlled this country, President Paul Biya and his acolytes, don't want the change to be. They are supposed to instruct Elekam, because we talk about electoral reforms. These are things that are expected. How do you explain that we have been advocating? Okay, take a look at the recent election in Nigeria. If it has some worries, but you could get it that by 6 p.m. people were already getting some feedback from different polling stations. We're not saying it is the best. All the electoral systems in Africa have a long way to go. But we're saying that we must be able to innovate. And you cannot innovate by copying a bad example. You can innovate by implementing a good example. And what does it mean? It means that we will require a system whereby when you have a single ballot, and then when the elections are going on, by 6 p.m. as the counting is going on, few minutes past 6:37 p.m., you have already what they call provisional results. So that you don't wait. You send it to the vote counting commission, divisional vote counting commission. They do their mafia there. You wait again, they send it to another before they proclaim it. 2 weeks is over. I mean, Cameroon is the only system in the whole world that surprises me when it comes to elections and proclamation of results. And then again, you will imagine that when you have this kind of system, the person itself, Elekam does it, transfers it now. You have the Supreme Court, Constitutional Council, they come in and they are playing the whole jigsaw puzzle. And at the end of it, I can tell you that all of this will even account for the insecurity we have, will account for poverty in the country, account for low income, low per capita income, and so many other things that needs to be put in order. Coming back, just as you asked, what needs to be done? What we are doing is that we are currently educating Cameroonians first to make sure that they take full part in the aspect of registering themselves in the electoral list. And we have equally, just like what Professor Maurice Kamto said earlier, that Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party will take part in all elections, whether you take us by surprise or not. And that's why you see, if you go to the East South, when we are doing our reorganization of the party, of the base of the party, or what they call the different section of the party, now you see that the government keeps trembling because they will send police to harass people up arbitrarily.
But now, when you say government panicking, send people to arrest members of a political party that got no legal candidate if elections are called today.
No, once it's a political party legalized, the issue of legal candidate or not is not into question.
So if Paul Biya says today, or let's
because
say there's a precipitated election that tomorrow we are going in for presidential election, what would CRM produce? Who would they produce as a candidate?
But that's
through what mechanism?
No,
so
the mechanism will not be the issue. Who will be presented will not be the issue. The issue is that we have told Cameroonians that we are ready. Now, whether we have a candidate or not, it boils down to internal affairs of the party. If I start telling you that this is the next person to stand, this is how it's going to look like, it means that I'll be telling CPDM to get ready to fight us as they have been fighting always in vain. But the question I keep asking, when government officials call it petit parti politique, why is it that each time the party is carrying out a move, the government is either there to harass the militants, troops are either there to intimidate, but when it comes to other political parties, the government relaxes. Therefore, it is a party to reckon with, and that's why I've said that the dynamics is changing, and it's a matter of time. As President Professor Maurice Kamto, our national president, said clearly that we shall take part in all elections, is to tell you that it is not going to be biscuits as usual.
So that's why I asked you a question. President Paul Biya has the electoral calendar in his hands, and from my reading or research, it has never happened in Cameroon where parliamentary and municipal elections are called before presidential election. If that happens, if President Paul Biya respects his electoral calendar, what would you guys do to present CRM at the level
now, if he respects, let me tell you clean and clear, the first thing is that CPDM is dead and gone.
No, how can you say that?
And I'll say it clean and clear because the indicators are clean and clear. If you see the way they panic, let me tell you, this is from the Gudron Bange. If I come out and announce that Cameroon Raiders Movement Party will be having a small meeting, say at the Bonamusadi market, before 2 hours, the whole area will be militarized. We don't come with guns. We don't come with any weapon. But then, pick another political party in the country. Tell them to announce that and even go to the deal. All their issues of authorization, everything will come out in less than no time. Is to tell you that when somebody has weight, he has an influence on what he does. But when somebody is a lightweight, human being also, now you realize that people will not bother about. For example, I'll tell you, like those who are in Christ, they will tell you that those who are in Christ, they get more temptation, they have more attacks from the devil than those who are in the world. It's to tell you that when you are in the world, devil does not bother. He knows you're already part of him. But when you are not there, he needs to attack you because he needs you to fall and come back to him. The same thing with the Cameroon Raiders Movement Party.
But your party has been tagged as a party of disorder.
Good.
They have even called some of your militant voyous. The reasons why some of those people who attribute such names to your party is because the latest incident in the south, in Samelema,
yeah,
a public meeting meant to elect officials of the region held in a private residence. How do you explain that fact?
Now, let me tell you clean and clear. Where you hold your meeting, there's no law. I repeat, there's no law in the country that stipulates that
without declaration, you go hold a meeting in a private residence without declaring a meeting?
There's no law in the country that says political parties that have their meetings must go to a public place. Now, what matters as per se is where is the meeting taking place. If you are holding a meeting at your home, let me tell you something that people here understand. If you look at it, let me borrow from our sister party. John, when he was holding meetings at his palace in Tarikon, I don't think you needed him to follow some procedures. But if he was holding meetings out of his home, because in your home, first, you are liable to anything that happens that could cause disorder. That's why meetings at home do not require authorization. But meetings that could jeopardize public peace or meetings that are occupying public space will require that to happen. Now, let me tell you another crux of the matter. Why you see the CRM taking another move is because, one, we've had instances of our public meetings where the DIOs, the SDIOs, who are all acolytes working for the states, have always jeopardized our meetings by refusing authorization, by complicating us in one way or the other. But I tell you, Lasha, this is not the same complication they will give to other political parties. Why? Because to them, they will call it small parties or small political parties, but at the same time, they are scared of the outcome. Now, the meeting was holding in a private residence. Let me ask you, as a journalist, find out, did even the neighbors of the person who was, of where the meeting was holding, complain that they are users to the person? No. Did anybody say that? No, as they are in this residence, at the party official's residence, was it acting as a user somewhere? But you remember, let me tell you, Lasha, whenever we hold meetings, you also have what they call special branch unit from the police. Intelligence unit are always there. And there has never been a day that we have held even meetings, they come and we say out. Because we understand that reorganization of the parties, of the basic organs of the party, takes place either at the party secretariat, it could take place at the house of a party official. All in all is that it should not jeopardize public peace. And there are requirements legally when you are going into public. Whether you want to occupy a public space to obstruct traffic, or you want to go into a public area. So these things are clean and clear. But this is not the first time. I will tell you that we have been getting these worries from President Paul Biya's errand boys, who are the GOs and the SGOs, who will obviously do everything possible to make sure that they act as a stumbling block. But something is hiding. Why? If we do not matter to the state, as the government officials say, then why worry about how we go about our things?
Okay, let's now talk democracy within your political formation. You said a while ago that President Paul Biya panics whenever he hears about...
For sure.
Yes, small party like your party. And some other person has mentioned somewhere that your own national chairman too panics whenever somebody from within the political party raises up his head to talk about succession.
Now,
is it what is happening within your political party?
Yes, I want to tell you that Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party is waxing strong.
No, I didn't say it's not working.
No, I'm coming. I want to take you to where you talk about the panic.
Yes.
Now, your panic, the term you use, panic, is relative. When I say relative, what does it mean? Any political party that is aiming towards governing the nation must be exemplary in terms of discipline. And the discipline should not be misquoted for panic. Why do I say so? If you look at it, we have former party militants who have had issues with the party hierarchy. And people call it panic. No.
No, but if I come out and say I want to challenge Fah Tayon in the next elective convention,
I am coming.
Why should Fah Tayon fire me?
No, this is where the issue is coming from.
For just coming out to state that or make my intention known.
That's why I said that journalists are supposed to be investigating. Probably maybe because I'm one. I don't take information in the air and conclude.
I've had so many of them. I've interviewed some of those
you might have interviewed
former militants.
Now what I'm saying is this.
So former militants.
What I'm saying is that when you want to carry out a balanced interview, you make sure that you meet all the belligerents involved in the issue. Now I will tell you clean and clear here. When I say that to interview people who have been fired, what do you expect? They must tell you everything negative about the party. But if you take 2 on those who have been fired and 2 from those who are inside, you could be able to work out an analysis to find out who was actually on the point. Now let me learn. I want to pinpoint the issue of panic.
Yes.
So that I correct it clean and clear. Now, President Professor Maurice Kamto and the party bigwigs, like some of us, do not panic over issues. What is clear and clear is that there are procedures. You will bear with me, for every party there are procedures. What are some of the procedures? I'll let you know. If you want to postulate in a position, there are issues you start in your cell unit. There are issues you move to your divisional unit. There are procedures you move. Now what am I saying? When you move by passing all these procedures and then you start postulating, the moment the party discovers that you are creating result, because if we allow Lasha to get up one day and say he's postulating, and we allow Lasha to go further, the next thing is that if Lasha's document is rejected for not going through the procedures, Lasha will start saying that he is a victim of circumstance. But now Lasha, for example, I'm just giving us an example.
Yes.
We'll never want to tell the population that, please, the truth is that I did not follow party procedures. Now let me tell you, us who belong to the National Directorate, we have a basic organ where we come from. If you come to Carrefour Music, I have a cell unit there. Before starting about what they call departmental and all the like. Now these are structures of the party that you must get a good following from those structures. I am a former member of the SDF. SDF had the same organigram. They will tell you must start. If you want to become party chairman, your ward chair must validate before you go to the district, before you go to the region, and you come. Now, why are these procedures? These are procedures to make sure that those who are postulating to a particular position have passed through the proper procedures and they are fit for it. Actually, if I get up one day that I want to be president of the national of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, it doesn't mean that my coming there means I will win or I will not win. But the issue is, have I gone through the party rules and regulations? Now, what's enough is that probably people you have interviewed have not told you what I'm saying, because this is what I'm saying clear and clear.
some people have to elect them. If they didn't follow this procedure, it should let for the electorate to sanction them now. Why should the national president say no?
No.
I cited this,
and I'm giving you as an example. Yes.
There are other cases like that.
And Lasha, let me say something here.
Yes.
When you look at the party structure, people always say, yes, the president, Professor Maurice Kamto, has done that. But I want to let you know that all these procedures, all these moves or decisions pass through procedures. I've assisted in most of the procedures. Even the other one, or is it the election? I've passed through these procedures.
He was suspended 6 times.
Yes, I've passed through these procedures. Let me tell you that the party itself is one of the most resilient party that has patience. Before you see the party moves to a particular level, know that all procedures to put things under order failed at the initial stage, which those concerned will not tell you that they had been discussed, they had been cornered, they had been brought to order at the backstage, they have been advised to do this. So the issue where I come out clean and clear to let people know is that the misconception of anyone who wants to stand to rival Professor Maurice Kamto in an upcoming convention means that he's fired. No, that is what we call misconception. Take your time after this program, get back to the persons concerned whom you had interviewed and ask them, but what does the party say about candidature? Does it say you just get one morning and start postulating? Now, a party that has organigram and has order means that everybody passes through the door to move to another room and not passing through the window to move into another room, and that's just what we are simply doing.
You say Cameroon needs change. What kind of change do we need? Do we need generational or regime change in Cameroon?
No, there are two things here. The generational change is also important, but the regime change is the most important. Why do I say so? When you have people in government that have stayed for long, they only recycle them. What do you expect from that kind of government? It must be a redundant government. But if you have a systematic government, let me tell you one of the issues that Cameroon National Movement has been advocating for. That when you have a constitutional adjustment, the terms of the president should be fixed and never be touched. Kenya has that, and that's why the current president is trying to adjust and it's causing problem. If you go to South Africa, you go to Ghana, it is clean and clear. That part of the constitution talking about the terms of the president cannot be touched by any other president whatsoever.
Let's imagine a case that the president comes to reduce it instead.
No, if you come to
make it, because he thinks that he can only probably offer 2 mandates, and the 2 mandates should not be more than probably the 7 years that we have in Cameroon. You have a president coming, and the president wants to reduce it.
First, I want to tell you, looking at political analysis around the world, around the globe. Let me concentrate with Africa.
Yes.
Mandates on the African continent are always between 4 and 5.
Yes.
Always between 4 and 5.
So why is our own
Now,
different?
our own is a dictatorial regime. When you have a dictatorial regime, the president first of all changes to 7, then puts it down to unlimited. Now you look at it that all those who cry foul and make a whole lot of noise on media about democracy, they should be honest to say that that's not democracy. Because you can't tell me that someone, because the first error is that when you have a longer term to rule, you are bound to make errors. These things are practical. Because the moment you are ruling above a particular time limit, you are bound to make errors. As humans, at a point in time, you are also bound to start thinking of compensating political friends instead of rendering services to the Cameroonian people as you had taken as per your oath. So all of these things matter. Now, if we talk about constitutional change and reforms, it simply means that as the time comes, we will have to expect it to be reduced. It's normal.
But Fah, you may want to agree with me now that there's something, like many people are saying, you are indirectly saying that something is not right with the constitution or the presidential term.
No, very true. Not indirectly. That's what I'm saying. Clean and clear. Something is not.
But you are at the same time against the touching of the constitution that has to do with that part. So how do we sort out this issue?
I'm not saying I'm against. Once the constitution is to be revised, it means that that part should be touched. Not that I'm against it. I cannot be saying that we need constitutional change and we're leaving that phrase. It is abnormal. First, I've said it 7 terms. If you look at it, taking statistics around African continent is long. Secondly, the unlimited itself is what makes it worst. It makes it a dynasty. We are not in a kingdom. So, from every indication, the constitutional change must take into consideration the presidential mandate, the mandate of the president, which, as I said, when we come in, because we're coming in, we're taking over. Bear me what I'm saying here. We're taking over already. And we are going to adjust that with constitutional bodies and working with people that matter to make sure that the years is adjusted and the term is limited to not more than 2 terms. If you have this kind of system, you realize that if you have something to offer, Lasha, and you are a president, why not rule? If you take your 2nd term, you finish, you go and rest, then you come back. In Nigeria, you can never hear the story of presidential term. In Nigeria, is closed. There's no day somebody will come and tell them, no, want to change that from 5 or 4 to this and 3 or 4 mandate. No. So if we have a constitutional change, and this is put in place, you realize that each time a new leader comes up, you will not have people who are sleeping in parliament.
But you have a problem with the opposition. We have the obese majority of the ruling CPD. How do you change the narrative with the obese majority?
No, there's something you need to understand here.
Your party even boycotted the just organized elections,
and we did that.
General elections.
And we did that with
so how do you intend? Because this is an institutional change. It has to happen at the level of the institution.
No, there's something.
And the institution is parliament.
Yeah.
How do you change the narrative in Cameroon?
The change is clean and clear. I will tell you that the change will come from the party and out of the party. Now, there's something you have to get it clear and clear. Cameroonians are watching us. The fact that somebody belongs to the ruling party does not mean that he's with the ruling party.
No, they have party yes, discipline.
I'm coming.
Yes,
I'm coming.
Same as in their own party.
You will have
things that you cannot.
Yes,
you
will have party discipline. Yes, but when it comes to election and changing of things, you'll be surprised that those even, because there's what you call in political jargons, party sympathizers. Now, whatever party sympathizer is simply, what does it mean? It means that I might not be a member of your political party, but I buy the ideology of your party. Now, these persons constitute a bulk of the population in Cameroon. And away from that, during politicking, you realize that there are some persons who belong elsewhere for one reason or the other. Let me come out clean and clear. Take, for example, the ruling party. I speak with most of the members one-on-one. And I tell you, it's not all of the members who put on the fabric as political party as of that party, understand, are actually with it 5 on 5. Why do I say so? Most of them have their business they operate. Most of them are into contract. Most of them have 1 or 2 gains to do. And so what happens is that for this kind of persons, if you meet them and you are able to identify them, for example, you'll be surprised that each kind of persons will tell you, even this my contract that they are delaying to pay, they are punishing me. The moment you put up a good agenda, that kind of person can be there, why is there, and comes back to give you the vote. Now look at it. What happens that we were the second at the last presidential election? I mean CRM. Where did we come from? Do you think those who made us be second in the position of that election shows that they were all members of the CRM? No. It tells you that in that scenario, there were equally those who were not even members of the party who bought the ideology and said, no, even if I cannot denounce my party where I am publicly, but now that is ballot box, let me come and equally show my concern for it. So people are yearning for change, Lasha.
Okay.
And one thing is for sure is that even within the ranks and files of the ruling party or whatever the case may be, there are even people there who are clamoring for change, even more than you and I sitting here.
Okay.
And so change is something which must come from all the angles in and out of the party. And I can assure you it's on the way coming.
We are almost running out of time. Let's talk about the crisis in the northwest and south. You coming from Buea. Buea has been hot these days. Some people think that, or the narratives of some people, especially those in the government, have it that the crisis has died down. Everything is coming back to normal.
That is why Cameroon Renaissance Movement took the bold step not to go to last election because we wanted to sympathize with persons in these areas. And the sympathy was clear. Now, why am I saying so? If you look at it, one of our worry has been that of falsehood within the regime. You cannot say things are under normal, things have returned to normalcy when you know within you that it is not so. And that's why I said, in political science, when you have a wrong formula, you have a wrong answer. And these things are clean and clear. Just like we tell the people that because you had a fake national dialogue, the results are all coming out fake, and where are we today? Now, I have been into my village called Gunoko. The things I saw around Momo Division, Northwest Region, I was there. I managed to go to Ndop and to come back, and I tell you, the atmosphere was that of uncertainty. Now, I've been able to see military cars that I only saw in the James Bond film, Chuck Norris, No Retreat, No Surrender, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Now, these are things we are seeing now. Now, it's to tell you that these areas we're mentioning have a worry. Why? Because the crises are real and nobody is speaking the truth, because the guy wants to cover up as if everything is fine. But the thing is that Boya stands because of the attacks. Who knew that they could come? But we have been clamoring even on this platform that the government needs to solve the problem once and for all. Government is playing for time, delaying, because they think that with time people will get tired. No, the war is a guerrilla warfare and it's changing its face. Do we expect many people to die before the government comes to listen? But I will shock you that while the regime is thinking that they could go around, buy people over, take people in trucks to come and do march pasts and all the like, but the bottom line is that this crisis will end at a dialogue table, whether we like it or not. And that is when people will understand that Cameroon's national movement had been advocating for a genuine dialogue. That's why we boycotted the dialogue in Yaoundé. Other people went there because we were going to collect peanuts and all the like. It was a mafia system, but we did not go. Why? Because it did not meet the standards of conflict resolution that was required and deemed necessary by the Cameroon Renaissance movement.
Yes. Deputy National Communication Secretary to the MRSC political party of Professor Maurice Kamto, Fah Elvis. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks very much. While Yaoundé regime must do everything possible to set our militants free, we will continue to oppose, and the right thing must be done till the end of time.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks very much.
Cruise and Groove, a weekly devotional socio-cultural program brought to you on My Media Prime every Friday. Presented by Dan Cheule. Cruise and Groove.